All right, let's go. Number 10. WASP 76b. In 2016, astronomers discovered a world where the weather forecast includes molten metal falling from the sky. WASP 76b, located 640 light-years from Earth, is a gas giant slightly larger than Jupiter that experiences the most alien atmospheric conditions ever observed. On this planet, it doesn't rain water, it rains iron. WASP 76b is tightly locked to its star, meaning one hemisphere permanently faces the sun, while the other remains in eternal darkness. The day side experiences temperatures of 4,350 degrees Fahrenheit, hot enough to vaporize iron into gas. Powerful winds driven by the extreme temperature differential between day and night carry this iron vapor across the planet toward the cooler night side, which maintains a temperature of 2,400 degrees Fahrenheit. As the iron vapor crosses into the night hemisphere, it encounters temperatures just cool enough for condensation to occur. The gaseous iron condenses into liquid droplets, and these droplets fall from the sky as molten metal rain. Imagine standing on the Terminator line between day and night, watching a literal iron curtain descend from the clouds, glowing orange-red as billions of molten droplets plummet toward the surface below. The scale of this phenomenon is staggering. Scientists estimate that tons of iron circulate through WASP 76b's atmosphere every day, vaporizing on one side of the planet and raining down on the other in a perpetual cycle. The night side likely features vast pools or even oceans of liquid iron, constantly replenished by the metallic precipitation from above. What makes WASP 76b the strangest planet we've discovered is how it combines multiple, extreme conditions into one coherent, nightmarish system. It's not just hot, it's not just tidally locked. It's a world where the fundamental elements of planetary geology exist in completely alien states, where the boundary between atmospheric chemistry and surface composition blurs into something we have no terrestrial reference for. WASP 76b forces us to confront a humbling reality. The diversity of worlds in our universe exceeds anything our Earth-based experience has prepared us to imagine, and weather systems exist that make our most violent storms seem gentle by comparison. Number 9. GJ 1214b. 40 light-years from Earth, orbiting a dim red dwarf star, lies a planet that fundamentally breaks our understanding of what an ocean can be. GJ 1214b was discovered in 2009, and initially it seemed like a fascinating but relatively standard super-Earth, a planet larger than our own, but smaller than the ice giants like Neptune. But when astronomers pointed the Hubble Space Telescope, and later the James Webb Space Telescope at this world, they realized its composition was radically different from anything in our solar system. GJ 1214b is a true water world. It is composed primarily of water, lacking the massive rocky core that defines our planet. However, it is absolutely nothing like the oceans of Earth. The planet orbits so close to its host star that its surface temperature hovers around 450 to 530 degrees Fahrenheit. On Earth, water at this temperature would instantly flash into steam, but GJ 1214b is massive, and its gravity holds down a crushingly thick atmosphere. At the bottom of this immense atmospheric envelope, the pressure is so staggering that water cannot exist as a gas, nor can it exist as the liquid we are familiar with. The pressure forces the water into exotic, impossible states of matter. Scientists believe the oceans of GJ 1214b are composed of a superfluid plasma, or a highly compressed crystalline structure known as hot ice or ice 7. This is ice that is literally burning hot, forced into a solid state purely by the tyrannical weight of the atmosphere above it. If you were to somehow descend through the thick, steamy clouds of this planet, you wouldn't splash down into a dark, cooling ocean. You would crash into a dense, glowing layer of super-ionic water, a material that acts simultaneously like a liquid and a solid, conducting electricity as efficiently as copper wire. There is no solid ground to stand on. There is only a smooth, endless transition from suffocating steam to an impenetrable wall of burning, electrified ice. It is a world that takes the substance most vital for life and weaponizes it through extreme physics, proving that even familiar molecules can become terrifying under the right conditions. Number 8. Kelt 9b. In 2017, astronomers identified the hottest planet ever discovered, Kelt 9b. Located 670 light-years from Earth, it experiences surface temperatures of 7,800 degrees Fahrenheit. This is hotter than roughly 80% of all stars in the universe. The planet's day side is hotter than the surface of our own sun. It shouldn't exist in any recognizable form, yet somehow it does. The extreme temperature creates conditions unlike anywhere else we've observed. The atmosphere is so hot that molecules cannot form. Hydrogen, normally stable even at thousands of degrees, is being torn into individual atoms. Heavier elements like iron and titanium have been vaporized into gas, floating through an atmosphere where chemistry, as we understand it, has ceased to function. Complex molecules are impossible. Only atomic particles can survive. But Kelt 9b faces an even more dire fate. The intense radiation from its star is stripping away the planet's atmosphere at an alarming rate. Every second, the planet loses millions of tons of hydrogen to space, bleeding its atmosphere into the void. Astronomers have observed this process directly, watching as a comet-like tail of escaping gas streams behind the planet. Kelt 9b is evaporating, literally boiling away under the relentless assault of stellar radiation. The planet is tidally locked with one hemisphere permanently facing its star. This creates a temperature differential of thousands of degrees between day and night sides, driving atmospheric winds at speeds that would tear apart any solid structure. The night side, while cooler, still exceeds 4,000 degrees Fahrenheit, hot enough to melt most metals. Kelt 9b represents the extreme limit of planetary survival. It exists in a state of continuous destruction, too hot for molecules, too bombarded to maintain its atmosphere, yet massive enough that it hasn't completely disappeared. It's a world in its final death throes, showing us that planets can exist even in conditions that actively work to destroy them. Number 7. TRES-2b. In 2006, astronomers using the Transatlantic Exoplanet Survey discovered something that shouldn't exist. A gas giant orbiting a sun-like star 750 light-years away was reflecting almost no light at all. TRES-2b, as it became known, absorbs more than 99% of the light that hits it, making it darker than coal, darker than black acrylic paint, darker than any planet or moon in our solar system. The darkness is profound and deeply strange. Most gas giants reflect significant amounts of light from their stars. Jupiter reflects about 52% of incoming sunlight. Saturn reflects approximately 47%. Even distant Neptune, despite its deep blue color, reflects 41%. TRES-2b reflects less than 1%. It's not just dark. It's the darkest known object in the universe that isn't a black hole. What could make a planet this black? Scientists have proposed several theories, none entirely satisfying. The planet orbits extremely close to its star, completing a full orbit in just 2.5 days. This proximity creates surface temperatures exceeding 1,800 degrees Fahrenheit, hot enough to vaporize certain chemicals in the atmosphere. Researchers believe light-absorbing compounds like vaporized sodium and potassium might be present along with titanium oxide, which could be acting like a cosmic light trap, but these theories struggle to explain the sheer completeness of the darkness. Something about TRES-2b's atmospheric chemistry is absorbing light with unprecedented efficiency. The planet isn't completely invisible. It emits a faint reddish glow from its own heat, giving it an eerie, ember-like appearance against the blackness of space. TRES-2b represents a fundamental challenge to our understanding of planetary atmospheres. We've discovered that worlds can be not just different from Earth, but different in ways we never predicted. This planet exists as a void in space, a sphere of darkness orbiting a brilliant star, swallowing light and refusing to give it back. Number 6. TOI-849b. In 2020, data from NASA's Transiting Exoplanet Survey satellite revealed a world that astronomers categorize as a planetary graveyard. TOI-849b is located 730 light-years away, and by all conventional models of planetary formation, we should not be able to see it. It is massive, roughly 40 times the mass of Earth, making it similar in weight to Neptune or Saturn, But unlike those gas giants, TOI 849b has almost no atmosphere. What we are looking at is an exposed, naked planetary core. In our solar system, a core of this immense size acts as a gravitational anchor during formation, vacuuming up vast quantities of hydrogen and helium from the primordial disk to create a thick, gaseous envelope. Jupiter and Saturn did exactly this. TOI 849b should be a towering gas giant, bloated with atmospheric layers, thousands of miles thick. Instead, it is stripped bare. This presents a terrifying mystery. Did TOI 849b fail to finish forming, or was it the victim of a catastrophic cosmic execution? Some scientists believe it formed as a normal gas giant, but ventured too close to its host star, where the intense stellar winds and relentless radiation boiled its entire atmosphere away into space over billions of years. Others propose a more violent history, that it collided with another massive planet in the early, chaotic days of its solar system, a hypervelocity impact that blasted its entire gaseous envelope away, leaving only the dense, rocky, metallic heart behind. To stand on the surface of TOI 849b would be to stand on the raw, pressurized engine of a dead god. Gravity is crushing, pulling you down with forces that would snap terrestrial bones. The ground beneath your feet is a compressed matrix of iron, rock, and exotic silicates, baking under the direct, unfiltered glare of its star. There is no sky. There are no clouds. There is only the brutal reality of an exposed interior, a planetary autopsy floating in the dark, forcing us to realize that the universe can meticulously build a world only to ruthlessly tear it apart. Number 5. Kepler 70b. When we look at the night sky, we generally assume planets are relatively stable. They form, they orbit, and eventually, billions of years later, they die when their stars expand. Kepler 70b is the exception. It is a planet that has already been eaten by its star, digested, and spat back out. Located nearly 4,000 light-years away, the Kepler 70 system experienced an apocalyptic event roughly 18 million years ago. Its host star, reaching the end of its life, exhausted its core hydrogen fuel and swelled into a red giant. As it expanded, it engulfed its inner planets, including Kepler 7b. For millions of years, this planet orbited inside the outer layers of the star. It was submerged in an ocean of stellar plasma, enduring temperatures and friction that should have vaporized it entirely. But Kepler 70b did not die. It was a massive gas giant, perhaps the size of Jupiter, and as it plowed through the star's interior, the intense heat and friction stripped away its thick atmosphere, layer by layer, until only the ultra-dense, rocky core remained. The friction of the planet's passage actually accelerated the star's shedding of its outer layers. The star eventually expelled its remaining envelope, collapsing into a violently hot B-type subdwarf and leaving the scorched, stripped core of Kepler 70b in a devastatingly tight orbit. Today, Kepler 70b orbits its dead star in just under 6 hours. It is so incredibly close to the subdwarf that its surface temperature reaches a staggering 12,000 degrees Fahrenheit. This makes it one of the hottest known exoplanets in existence, hotter than the surface of our sun. The rock on its day side doesn't just melt, it vaporizes, creating a thin, temporary atmosphere of heavy metallic gas that is immediately blown away into space. It is a world that has been through hell, survived, and now exists as a glowing, evaporating cinder, a monument to the staggering resilience of matter. Number 4. HD 800606b. Orbiting a star 190 light-years from Earth in the constellation Ursa Major is a planet with an orbit so erratic it fundamentally challenges our understanding of orbital mechanics. Most planets travel in relatively circular paths. HD 800606b travels on an extreme ellipse, an orbit so elongated it resembles a comet more than a planet. For 111 days of its 111.4-day year, the planet drifts through the cold, dark outer reaches of its star system. It is a frozen gas giant, plunged into a deep chill. But as it reaches the apex of its orbit, gravity pulls it back inward. The planet accelerates, plunging toward its star at terrifying speeds. In a matter of hours, it swings violently around the star, passing closer to it than Mercury is to our sun, before being slingshot back out into the freezing void. This close approach triggers an apocalyptic weather event known as flash heating. In less than a day, the amount of starlight hitting the planet increases by a factor of 800. The temperature in the upper atmosphere skyrockets, from a freezing -4 degrees Fahrenheit to a blistering 2,200 degrees Fahrenheit. This sudden, catastrophic injection of heat causes the atmosphere to explode into motion. The expanding gases generate global shock waves and supersonic storms that rip across the planet's surface. Winds achieve speeds of over 3 miles per second, more than 11,000 miles per hour, generating immense, swirling vortices of chaotic, superheated gas. To be in the atmosphere of HD 800606b during its closest approach would be to exist inside a planetary-scale detonation. Then, almost as quickly as it began, the planet is flung away from the star. The winds slowly die down, the heat dissipates, and the world freezes once more, waiting to repeat its 100-day cycle of silence punctuated by a few hours of absolute, unbridled violence. Number 3. PSRB 1620-26b. Also known as the Methuselah planet, this world shouldn't just be impossible based on where it is. It should be impossible based on when it is. Located 12,400 light-years away in the constellation Scorpius, PSRB 1620-26b resides deep within the core of a dense globular cluster known as M4. What makes this planet staggering is its age. Astronomers estimate it to be roughly 12.7 billion years old. Our universe is roughly 13.8 billion years old. Earth is a mere 4.5 billion years old. This planet formed less than 1 billion years after the Big Bang, during the cosmic dawn, when the universe was composed almost entirely of hydrogen and helium. Heavy elements, the building blocks needed for planets to form, barely existed yet. But somehow, in the primordial dark, this massive gas giant pulled itself together. Its sheer existence is a profound anomaly, but its history is even more dramatic. It does not orbit a normal star. It orbits a binary pair of dead cosmic corpses, a rapidly spinning pulsar and a dense white dwarf. But it didn't form there. Scientists believe it originally orbited a single sun-like star. Billions of years ago, its host star strayed too close to a highly magnetic pulsar. The heavier pulsar captured the star, bringing the planet along with it. Eventually, the original host star died, swelling into a red giant and then collapsing into a white dwarf, shedding its outer layers and devastating the system. The Methuselah planet survived all of it. It survived the chaotic stellar capture. It survived the violent death throes of its own star. It survived the intense sweeping radiation beams of the pulsar. Today, it drifts through a chaotic stellar graveyard, a silent, ancient observer of the universe, carrying the secrets of planetary formation from a time when stars were still waking up in the dark. Number 2. LHS 3844b. When we look for exoplanets, we desperately search for signs of an atmosphere, the protective blankets necessary for life. In 2018, astronomers found LHS 3844b orbiting a red dwarf star, just 48.6 light-years away. At one point, 3 times the radius of Earth, it seemed like a prime candidate for an Earth-like terrestrial world. But when researchers measured the thermal phase curves, the heat emitted by the planet as it orbits, they made a chilling discovery. The heat transfer from the day side to the night side was exactly 0. The day side of the planet bakes at an agonizing 1,040 degrees Fahrenheit. The night side is plunged into the absolute freezing darkness of space, hovering near absolute 0. This absolute lack of heat distribution confirmed a grim reality. LHS 3844b has no atmosphere whatsoever. It is a naked rock suspended in a vacuum. Because it is tidally locked, one side permanently faces the star, blasted by radiation, while the other side faces outward into the infinite dark. The boundary between day and night on LHS 3844b, the Terminator line, is not a gentle twilight zone of fading colors. It is a sheer, terrifying cliff of temperature. If you were to walk across this line, the temperature would instantly plummet by 1,000 degrees. There is no wind to blow the dust. There is no sound to break the silence. There is no weather, no erosion, no change. The dark, basaltic rock of its surface, likely similar to the lunar mare, sits under a pitch-black sky even in broad daylight. It is a world frozen in permanent stasis, a stark reminder that the vast majority of the universe is utterly silent, dead, and deeply indifferent to the complex chemistry required for life. Number 1. HD 1490-26b. Nicknamed Smertrios after the Gaulish god of war, this planet orbits a yellow subgiant star about 250 light-years away. Discovered in 2005, it is a gas giant roughly the size of Saturn, but its size is a cosmic deception. When astronomers calculated the mass and density of HD 1490-26b, the numbers broke our accepted models of how planets form. According to the core accretion model, a gas giant forms when a rocky, metallic core grows to about 10 times the mass of the Earth. At this point, its gravity is strong enough to rapidly pull in surrounding hydrogen and helium, bloating into a massive gaseous envelope. HD 1490-26b ignored this rule entirely. Its core is monstrous. Scientists estimate that the solid core of this planet contains somewhere between 60 and 100 times the mass of the entire Earth. It holds more heavy elements locked within its center than our entire solar system combined, excluding the Sun. It is a planetary anomaly of unimaginable density, a core that kept eating and eating rock and metal long past the point where physics says it should have triggered runaway gas accretion. Because of this overwhelming density, and a dark, soot-filled atmosphere composed of light-absorbing titanium and vanadium oxides, it traps heat with terrifying efficiency. The planet absorbs essentially all the starlight that hits it, but because it is so blisteringly hot on the day side, around 3,700 degrees Fahrenheit, it radiates that energy back out as pure, intense infrared heat. It is a world that looks like a glowing ember of charcoal, a dark sphere with a heart so heavy it bends the mathematics of planetary formation. It stands as a final, unnerving testament to the cosmos. No matter how meticulously we map the laws of the universe, there will always be worlds waiting in the dark that simply refuse to obey them.